Hello and welcome everyone. So I have brought back the same setup over here for you again to understand the new terms which are given in your book, the static friction, limiting friction, sliding friction and the rolling friction. So with the help of this setup we will understand the difference and we will compare all the types of friction. Over here we are using again the wooden block, the pan, the pencils which will work as a rollers and the marbles to put it into the pan. To understand this activity, we have to imagine and we have to consider two things. First, that the weight of this pan is 0, right? And the next thing is that let us say the weight of each of one of the marble, it is, let's take it as 1 Newton. So we are supposing that the weight of this pan is 0 and the force applied by this each marble, it is equal to 1 Newton. So I will be putting it one by one in this pan and let's see what happens. When I have put one marble into this, that means I have applied how much force? Yes, it is 1 Newton of force I am applying on this wooden block so that it starts moving. But we know that this wooden block is not moving. That means there is some force which is resisting us, which is opposing the motion of this wooden block. And what is that force? Yes, that is the frictional force. So that means how much frictional force is applied on this wooden block? It is also equal to 1 Newton, because of which this block is not moving. Now let us take another. So now the value of frictional force will also become 2 Newton, which is not allowing this wooden block to move further. So let us put now 2 more and let's observe it has started moving. So I am removing one and one again and let's see what will happen. So it is 2 Newton, that means the force of friction value is also 2 Newton. Let me put the third one. It has just started moving. Let me tap this a little. So when you have watched that it has just started moving, that means that is the maximum value of friction, which is called the limiting friction. But before limiting friction, the friction till this 2 Newton of force will be the static friction, because this block was not moving. When this block was not moving, the force of friction which is applied over here, that is the static friction, which will not allow this wooden block to move. As the value of the applied force will increase, the value of static friction will increase. So we can say that static friction is a self-adjusting force. When it was 1 Newton, then the static friction value was 1 Newton. When it is 2 Newton, the value of static friction is 2 Newton. Now let us put this. It is not moving. I am putting it again. No, a slight movement is seen in the block. 4 Newton of static friction. So it is keeping on increasing. So it is a self-adjusting frictional force. Let us put this. It is not moving. So 5 Newton static friction. 6 Newton static friction. Now 7 Newton. That means on 7 Newton the block has started moving. So this is the maximum value of static friction, which is called the limiting friction. See, the moment when the interlocking will break, the static friction will change into the limiting friction. But when it is in the motion, when it is sliding like this, during this motion, again I am doing this, during this motion of sliding, the frictional value is called the sliding friction, which is slightly less than the value of limiting friction. So the maximum value of the friction is the limiting friction. Now to compare the sliding friction and the rolling friction, I am using these round pencils which will act like rollers, and I am putting this underneath the block. So they will act like the rollers over here. Now let us compare the number of marbles which can be used to move this. See, now we will not be using any marble, and we can see otherwise it was taking total 7 marbles to move. Now if I am putting it and I am leaving it over here, see, it has started moving. That means the value of rolling friction, it is very less as compared to the value of sliding friction. So just now we have seen that the value of the rolling friction, it is much less than the value of sliding friction. That is why we always use the rollers or the wheels underneath all the heavy objects, so that we can ease the motion of that heavy object over the rollers or over the wheels. Thank you for watching.